number 4, the Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, to the Minister of Finance, does he believe his tax cuts are fair, and if so, why?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Bill English.
Yes, from today, most New Zealand workers will receive a tax cut. Mr. Speaker, today, most New Zealand...
Order, order, order. It is getting difficult to hear. The Honourable Bill English, in answer.
Mr. Speaker, yes, today most New Zealanders will receive a tax cut, whereas under the Labor policy they would have received nothing. Zero. And many New Zealanders today will receive a tax cut who got no reductions in tax in the 9 years Labor was in power.
That's right.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, can the Minister deny the probability that by 1 October 2011, New Zealanders will have experienced just 2 tax cuts over 3 years, $1 billion from National skewed to the wealthy, and $2 billion under Labor skewed to low and middle income New Zealanders?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, there was a debate in election year about which tax package New Zealanders wanted, and as I recall it, that debate was settled quite decisively through the National Party winning the election by a long way.
Craig Foss.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister. What reports has the Minister seen on alternative approaches to tax cuts?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, well, I've received a number of confusing reports about Labor's position on tax cuts. A few weeks ago they were advocating that the government should do a lot more fiscal stimulation. Recently they have called for today's tax cuts to be scrapped. This would strip over $1 billion out of the pockets of 1.5 million workers and take the independent earner tax credit of 600,000 lower income earners who received nothing from the Labor Party until the 1st of October 2008.
Order. The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Mr. Speaker, is the Minister aware that the population of New Zealand is over 4 million, and that if 1.5 million workers are getting a tax cut, it implies that most New Zealanders are not? And does he accept that if these tax cuts were spread more evenly, they would have had a bigger, more constructive and more cost-effective impact on fighting this recession than robbing from the poor and giving to the rich?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I can confirm for that Minister that as of the 1st of April today, every superannuitant will be getting an increase, every beneficiary will be getting an increase, and I can also explain to the Minister that looking back over the tax cut debate since the 2005 election, National is pleased that it pushed Labor into making tax cuts finally on the 1st of October 2008, and we have introduced tax cuts that spread those benefits to a wider range of taxpayers.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Supplementary to the Minister. Is the Minister therefore confirming that the only way he can get to his supposed number of 1.5 million people benefiting from tax cuts is if he includes superannuitants? Because on our analysis, 71% of New Zealanders will get nothing, and 1/3 of New Zealanders will get, 3% of New Zealanders get a third of the money.
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, superannuitants certainly will benefit from these tax cuts because superannuation is adjusted according to the after-tax average wage, and that will go up because we have given a significant tax break to people on the average wage. But the Labor spokesman needs to decide: is his problem that the tax cuts aren't big enough, or that they are too big? And it's pretty hard to understand his position from listening to him today.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Speaker. Mr. Speaker, why is it that when so many of these New Zealanders down here are struggling to make ends meet, does 33% of the value of this tax package go to the 3% of New Zealanders that are up here on the graph? And what about that does that tweet think is fair?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the member should answer his own question, because his party has been in government. His party has been in government for 9 years. There were the best economic times we will see for a long time, and if people at the end of that period were struggling, then it's his fault, not ours.
Te Uraro Flavel.
To the Minister, what mechanisms has he got to compensate for the lack of tax cuts for low-income New Zealanders?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, well, this tax package has a specific feature designed for low-income New Zealanders, and that is the independent earner tax credit. And the effect of that is that 630,000 New Zealanders who earn between the average wage and the minimum wage, who don't have children, will for the first time get a tax cut, following on from some benefit that they got from the 1st of October tax cuts under Labor. They deserve the $10 a week, and Labor should say today whether they're going to take it off